Hi, my name is Radhika Parekh, and I'm here to discuss a paper that Nishith Desai Associates has recently published on the Indian aviation sector. Now, Indian aviation in India has had a bit of a roller coaster ride. In 1932, JRD Tata established the first licensed airline carrier in India. A few years later, in 1953, the Indian government nationalized the sector, leaving us with only two airlines: Air India, which was used for international flights, and Indian Airlines for domestic flights. It wasn't until the economic liberalization in the 1990s that the sector was once again open for private players. And now, 2.5 decades later, India has become one of the fastest growing aviation markets in the world. Currently, we are the ninth largest market in the world and are expected to overtake the United Kingdom and become the third largest market by 2031. The rapid growth of the Indian aviation sector has been a result of multiple factors coming together. First and foremost has been the government's push to encourage activities in the sector, coupled with India's economic growth, an increase in India's middle class, which have a higher disposable income to spend on air travel, and an increase in technology. Another important factor that has played in the growth of the sector has been the fact that India is one of the least penetrated markets in the world. What I mean by this is that if there was an increase in even 1% of the number of people who use air travel in India, India would have to double its entire fleet size to accommodate this change. Recognizing the potential for growth in the sector, and we at NDA have published this paper in order to help stakeholders or potential stakeholders better understand the industry and possible opportunities there. Our paper walks the reader through several aspects of the Indian aviation sector. We start with its history and its regulatory and tax framework. We also discuss the recently liberalized opportunities for FDI investment into the sector and focus on industry-specific issues like fuel hedging and private ownership of aircrafts. However, I'd like to take a moment here to discuss two recent developments. The first is the notification of the National Civil Aviation Policy earlier this year. Now, while the policy addresses various issues with respect to the aviation industry, it focuses on two aspects. One, regional connectivity in India, as well as maintenance, repair, and operation services in India. With respect to regional connectivity, the government is encouraging the development of regional airports and an increase in the number of flight routes between these regional airports. One way that they're encouraging this is by setting up no-frills airports, which are expected to cost anywhere from 50 to 100 crores. The second aspect that the policy deals with is maintenance, repair, and operation services provided by domestic service providers. The intention of the government is to make India the MRO hub of Asia. Now, to bring this into perspective, while we have MRO service providers in India who are internationally recognized, 90% of our MRO services are still being outsourced to third-party service providers in various other countries. The government is trying to bring these MRO services back to domestic service providers by easing regulatory norms for them and by encouraging foreign MRO experts to come to India. The other recent development that I wanted to discuss was the private ownership of planes. With the introduction of fractional ownership to India, owning a jet is no longer the purview of only the rich and famous. Fractional ownership is essentially when you own a fraction of a plane. It entails a contractual arrangement between the other fractional owners and the company providing the aircraft. Essentially, your ownership of a plane is set for a predetermined period of time, say 5 years. Within those 5 years, you get 24 access to either your plane or a similar plane for a predetermined number of flight hours. While fractional ownership is still in its nascent stages in India, it has the potential to become a significant player in the Indian aviation sector. In order to learn more about Indian aviation, please take a read at our research paper and feel free to contact us at aviationteam.nda.com if you have any questions. Thank you.